Hello. If you're able to, please close your eyes. Take a deep breath in. And a deep breath out. Relax your shoulders. Unclench your jaw. Take another deep breath in. And another breath out. You can open your eyes now. My name is David, and welcome to Mindful Moments. How are you today? I hope you're well. I am very well. And today, I'd like to just get straight into it because I had a very good idea for this episode and I wanted to execute it immediately, which is ironic because today I would like to talk about good ideas and executing our good ideas and the difficulty in having good ideas and not executing them, the things that make it hard to execute our good ideas. There are few feelings that are better than having a good idea. A good idea is a wonderful thing. It fills us with excitement, with anticipation, with happiness, because having a good idea means imagining something good, something that will bring us something good, and imagining it in fullness. Having a good idea in our heads, we can see the idea and we can see its full potential, and we can live out the execution of that idea and the idea reaching its full potential in our heads. In our heads, good ideas are perfect. It can be very difficult to then bring that good idea to life. Because when we have good ideas, they are perfect in our heads. And then when we start to act on them, they go from being perfect and complete to not yet tangible in real life. They go from being everything to, for the moment, nothing. And it takes an immense amount of courage and a lot of hard work to turn ideas in real life into what they've been in our heads. And because of that, it takes an immense amount of courage to start working on our good ideas and turn them into, in real life, what we imagine them to be in our heads. Because of the fear that can exist in doing that, because there's no guarantee that when you start on a good idea in real life, it will turn into what you've wanted it to be. There are variables out of our control all the time. And that's something that stopped me from acting on my ideas a lot in life generally. I will have a good idea. I'll think about how daunting it is to start. I'll think about all the reasons it couldn't work as much as I think about the reasons it could. And eventually I'll return to a state where I will have the idea, and every time I want to feel better, I will think of the idea and I'll imagine it, and I'll imagine it succeeding, and I'll imagine it working in the ways I want it to. And I will let that imagination be enough to tide me over for the moment and then push the idea back down. And that really isn't good enough for me. It's not good enough for us. It's not good enough for any of us. We deserve better than that. A thing that I tell myself to try and get over that is my ideas deserve better than to become my hindrances. Because ultimately, me using my ideas to make me feel better momentarily and then not finding the courage to then act on them holds me back. It tells me that just having a good idea and imagining better for myself is enough, when really having better for myself should be what I'm aiming for. So essentially, I have been doing and do a lot of work on finding the courage to turn my ideas into reality and believing in myself enough to know that when I start working on my ideas, even though they are not the complete, perfect final version and I haven't received the outcome that I imagined I would yet, all I have to do is continue to work on them and make them into that in real life. Because if I can visualize it and I can see it and I can imagine it in its fullness in my mind, that I can make it into that in real life. Have you ever heard the expression strike while the iron is hot? I have never actually looked into that expression, but I imagine it to come from when blacksmiths work with metal And when obviously they'll superheat the metal so that it's malleable, so you can move it and change the shape. And of course, that's not the only way to change the shape of metal. You can, I assume, change the shape in different ways, but you superheat a metal so that it's easy to change its shape. And I feel the best time to act on our ideas, or the best time to shape our ideas into reality, is when we feel that excitement. That excitement that I feel about a good idea shouldn't be to temporarily, the excitement that I feel about a good idea shouldn't be to temporarily assuage my feelings of upset about what's going on in my life, or that frustration that I feel when I feel like I want better but don't know how to get there. I shouldn't use my good ideas to then make me feel better for the moment and then return to the state I was in. When I feel that warm feeling and that excitement when I have a good idea, that's when I should start to put things into practice to make that idea a reality. It doesn't have to be a huge thing every time, but it's taking steps towards that idea existing outside of my head and doing it when I feel warm and excited about the idea. It's much easier to do it when I feel excited rather than when I feel scared and daunted. So I really try to make the most of the times where the idea feels strong and the vision feels clear. And the other thing is, when you start to make an idea a reality, as I said, it goes from 100%, in your head. It goes from perfect in your head to not tangible yet. And you have to work to make it tangible and exist in real life. And when in real life it doesn't quite exist yet, working on it and building towards it, the courage and the work that it involves, is something that, or it's a level of effort that if I'm not willing to put it in, then ultimately the idea will never come to reality. And the warm happiness and the feeling that you get when you envision a good idea becoming reality, or when you envision the idea at its conclusion and things having worked out, that doesn't go anywhere. In fact, that then becomes the driving factor. The vision you have of your idea coming to life and being everything you wanted it to be is what remains and what you look to when in real life you're starting to make your idea a reality. When things are still at their early stages, at their building stages, when things are difficult, the vision that you have of your idea coming to reality and coming to life, and the vision that you have of the perfect outcome, you work to that vision. It doesn't go anywhere just because the idea isn't yet what you want it to be now that it exists in real life. Just because it's under construction, just because it's underway, it doesn't mean that the blueprint's gone anywhere. When you start a new building, or when people who build start a new building and they have the blueprints and they have what the building's supposed to look like at the end, when they're creating the foundations and building the structure, just because it doesn't look like the blueprint yet, it doesn't mean that the building isn't going to be what it's supposed to be. It's just under construction. That's all. And when we start to work on our ideas, it can be very easy to be discouraged because it doesn't look like our final outcome yet. But that's the time, if anything, where we have to continue building. If I've started building, I'm not just going to leave the hollowed out shell of the framework of the building there. You're going to build the building until it looks like what you've envisioned in the blueprints. You have to continue looking to that vision and continue looking to that idea and thinking of that perfect concluded outcome to keep you working on it when it doesn't look like that yet. It's not an easy thing to have a good idea and to bring it to life and work on it. But there's not much that comes easily that's worth having. Or rather, many things that are worth having don't come easily. That's more what I went to say. And when we have good ideas, we have them for a reason. They come from somewhere. And the good ideas that recur, that come back, that we can't quite get rid of, the ones we return to, and the ones we think, if everything went to plan and everything went right, this could be amazing. Those ideas come from a place and keep coming back to us for good reason. And those are the things that we really deserve and should be working on. The feelings of fear, reticence, reluctance, the worries of things going wrong if we start to work on them, really, those aren't very worth listening to, just because the only way to know if something's going to work is to eventually try it and to work on it. One of the things that I really strongly believe is that I don't want something to have not worked because I didn't try. I'd way rather something didn't work because I tried it and tried it wrong than something not happened because I never attempted it at all. That's the thing that I can't really forgive myself for. If I attempt something and it goes wrong, and I can see the reasons it went wrong and I can see why it didn't happen, or even if I can't see why it didn't happen, I just tried it and it didn't go the way I expected, I can always forgive myself for that because ultimately I know that my efforts come from a place of wanting better for myself, and I will never be sorry for wanting better for myself. But if I end up missing out on something or not making the idea a reality, and I know that it's because I never gave myself the belief or gave myself the chance to even make it happen, that's something that I find difficult to let go. That's something that would make me a bit disappointed in myself because I do deserve better than that for myself. And if we don't pour into ourselves, who will? So we do need to give ourselves, as much as we worry that things will go wrong, sometimes we need to give ourselves the opportunity for things to go right. And one of the best things about starting ideas and executing ideas is that, as I said, when we imagine an idea, we imagine things going a certain way and we imagine a perfect outcome. But when we work on ideas in real life, we live out ideas in real life, details and things are added to ideas that make them so much richer than what we originally imagined. As the work goes along, as things and circumstances change and life moves on around us and different opportunities arise, what we imagine things to be at the beginning can become so much better in real life when we're actually working on them, when other factors become added. Because ultimately, when I imagine a good idea in my head, it's only my perspective and my input and me thinking of circumstances exactly as they are now that will inform what I think my perfect outcome is or what I think the journey will be like. When I act on things in real life and real time passes and other real people are involved in it, details and things are added that make things much richer. And eventually the outcome could be even better than what I had imagined. So as much as we worry about what if things don't reach what I imagined, what if this idea doesn't become what I want it to be, we might as well add equal energy to what if it's even better than I imagined it might be? What if when I have help on this, what if circumstances change around me and make this an even better time to try and do this for myself? What if things go even better than I imagined? Perfectly valid and a much better thing to lean into than what if I fall short? Anything might happen, but as I said, a good idea comes from a good place. And the only way to know what that idea could be is to act on it. So, with all of that said, if there is something, an idea you have that keeps you warm, that gives you an excited feeling inside, try and find the courage to act on it. It's in there somewhere, because otherwise it wouldn't be something you keep returning to. And there's nothing better than pushing ourselves to try something that we really believe in and it turning out the way that we wanted to. And even if it doesn't turn out perfectly the way we wanted to, we will always get something from it. Even if that something isn't perfectly clear at the time when it comes to its conclusion, we always get something out of trying a good idea for ourselves. So I'm encouraging you, as I'm encouraging myself, because as I sit here and talk to you, there are things that I want to try that I'm not pushing myself to try, that I keep returning to as ideas and I won't let myself do. But now I've said it out loud and now I've said it to you. I need to make sure I'm working on these things myself. And we'll do it together. If you have a good idea, try it out. Put some work into it. To you, to me, for us. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for being here. Whatever you're doing this week, I hope you have a wonderful one.